Today on the Morning Edition, it's one of the most dangerous sections of road in Anchorage with the crash count and fatality figures to back up the claim. We'll share the discussions starting on how to change this for the better and how you can get involved. Plus, the USS Ted Stevens commissioning is happening soon in Whittier, and we have our eyes on the situation, waiting for the date to be announced. We'll share how it's moving forward and let you know how you might be able to attend and later.
I heard that it gets very hot.
One Alaskan teen that's never been outside of Alaska is on her way to Arizona for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to play basketball at the Native American Basketball Invitational Tournament in Phoenix. One of just a few. From Napakiak to Arizona, we'll share her story as the Morning Edition starts now. Good Wednesday morning, everyone. Thanks for waking up with us today. We made it halfway through the week. On my way to work today, I had some light sprinkles in East Anchorage.
Yeah, I was actually driving into town. I was like, what is that view off into East Anchorage? And actually asked you this morning.
It's wet and hazy.
Yeah, we are seeing those wet conditions for parts of East Anchorage. But here in Midtown, looking off towards the Kenai Mountains, you can largely see, for the most part, mostly sunny conditions. It's going to be a beautiful day across South Central. We do have those temperatures this morning currently sitting in the upper 40s and the lower 50s. 51 is where we're currently sitting at out at Ted Stevens. Now, across the rest of South Central, you can see a few locations dipping down into the lower 40s. We do have Soldotna coming in at 39 degrees, 47 in Wasilla, and 48 degrees in Valdez. Now, notice areas to the north seeing a bit more cloud coverage, considering the sunshine we're seeing across parts of South Central, particularly through western parts of the Kenai and Anchorage. This is where we're going to be watching that potential for some thunderstorm development later today, as well as across parts of the Kenai Mountains as those temperatures continue to warm, and we see ample opportunities for some sunshine later today. Now, it is fairly quiet to start off the morning outside of some of that spotty activity. You can see as you head out towards Hatcher Pass, we've got some spotty activity, and then along the Glen Highway, and then, of course, here in Anchorage, you can see across eastern parts of the city, this is where we do have that band of some light rain showers that have been with us. Yesterday, we were talking about the potential for isolated showers today, and that's what we are, for the most part, seeing this morning. And that will stay with us, although we will be watching that thunderstorm potential later today. Temperatures do warm quite nicely in the mid to upper 60s as we head throughout the afternoon hours. We'll also be chasing some 70s as we head through the close of this week across a good portion of the state. Good news is we're going to be fairly dry across most of Alaska, with the exception of the thunderstorm potential in the valley, the interior, parts of the Kenai, and the Copper River Basin. I'll have those details in that 7-day forecast coming up.
She worked where most of us would never dare to stand, but in Denali National Park, experience is not a guarantee. Robin Pendry was a National Park Service ranger, a guide, and an avalanche forecaster. Last week, she died during a patrol. Now, as Lauren Maxwell reports, a friend who knew her for years tells us who she was and why this is a loss the mountain community will feel for a long time.
People who knew Robin Pendry,
one of my favorite people to be in the mountains with,
say the smile you see in nearly every photograph was real.
She was humble, she was strong, she was kind, all the things you look for in friends and coworkers that you value in other people. She was just genuinely a wonderful human being.
Pendry lost her life June 4th. The National Park Service ranger was on a climbing patrol near Mount McKinley's 14,000-foot level when she fell into a crevasse. Her friend Dallas Glass says Pendry's tragic death has hit the climbing community hard.
You know, it is a small group of people that do these jobs, that work as avalanche forecasters, as mountain guides. And so we all tend to know each other pretty well.
But friends say Pendry also knew the risks, which didn't stop the mountains from calling her name.
One of the reasons Robin was who Robin is because of her time in the mountains. And so to remove that part from her would be to fully change who she was.
It's a calling that Glass also shares. He's getting set to climb McKinley this week and will be thinking of his friend when he does. Lauren Maxwell, Alaska's news source.
Well, meantime, there have been thousands of crashes, higher than the average rate recorded on Tudor and Muldoon Road. Some people have been seriously hurt and even killed. We took a look at solutions, including changes to the speed limit. 12 people died on Tudor and Muldoon Road between 2020 and 2025. That's according to the Alaska Department of Transportation. State Representative Andrew Gray is encouraging people to attend a hearing the DOT is holding on the two roads today. Gray said he understands how important the road is to drivers, but he says that stretch of road especially is a poor design.
There have been ideas floated by DOT itself of changing the way Tudor looks and feels for both pedestrians and drivers, and I would love to explore those options.
Lowering the limit to 40, even 35 miles an hour is Gray's suggestion. He says that most people go over the speed limit on average. So when the speed limit is 45, most people are actually doing between 50 and 55, which is far too dangerous. If you'd like to comment on the possible change of Tudor's speed limit, you can go to the LUSAC Library today from 5:30 to 8 to make your comments heard to the Department of Transportation. And here's a closer look at the numbers. 2,224 crashes were recorded on Tudor and Muldoon Road between 2020 and 2024, according to state data. 42 serious crashes and 10 fatal. And after that study, there were more than 2 pedestrian deaths through 2025. You can read more on the numbers and breakdown on our website and mobile app. Mat-Su Borough parents are sharing their thoughts on a controversial new policy that allows select trained staff members to carry a concealed handgun while on campus. While it was approved last week, as Georgina Fernandez shows us, opinions are still divided.
When that bell rings, every parent wants the same thing.
And so as a parent, I want to make sure my kid is protected by whatever means is necessary.
Their kid safe inside. The Mat-Su Borough School District says the goal of a new policy is to increase safety by letting certain staff members carry a concealed handgun in case of an emergency. It's a reality that hits home for Mat-Su mom Sarah Williams.
I think what goes through my mind that can't ever, maybe I don't ever want it to be removed, is the feeling of the bullet that went across the top of my legs.
Williams is one of the survivors of the 1998 Thurston High School shooting. She still remembers the day clearly.
I can't help but think if there had been a security guard in that cafeteria that could have disarmed him at the door, how much carnage would have been prevented from that process.
Would there have been a difference if that security guard was armed versus not being armed?
Well, I think that I can't tell you one way or another because I don't know what that security guard might have had a training otherwise. I can tell you it is certainly easier to disarm someone with a weapon if you have a weapon than if you are not.
Williams telling us she is for the policy while others disagree, including veteran James Majetic.
I am personally very in favor of the Second Amendment and gun rights and these sort of things. I mean, I make a living as a hunting guide in part. But they're two things that I don't think really complement each other at all, teaching and being armed security.
Adding that he does not believe the initial training requirement is enough.
It's a lot to ask from people who aren't trained and they don't have a background in that.
But guns aside, the problem these two say is deeper.
I would rather see schools and school districts addressing some of the root issues of mental health.
While this policy decision has been made, some parents still believe more action is needed to prevent violent acts before they happen or develop. Georgina Fernandez, Alaska's news source.
We'll get ready to see the USS Ted Stevens for its commissioning. A naval advance team is in Alaska to prepare for the ceremony sometime later this year. A firm date hasn't yet been set, but it will be at the cruise ship dock in Whittier. The location was chosen because of its history with the military. The ceremony ends with the ship's captain receiving her orders and a command to the crew from the ship's sponsor to man our ship and bring her to life. This is often the most exciting part.
For me, the run aboard, absolutely the run aboard. There is nothing like watching that ship come to life, and you can go through all of the motions and talk about it, but a ship, a U.S. Navy ship, is alive, and she is alive because of her crew.
A limited number of Alaskans can attend. We'll share how to sign up once that information is released, and Alaska's news source will have full coverage of the event. What started as a beach bonfire ended in an explosion that left teens hurt, and Kodiak changed. Tuesday, the teen accused in that case appeared in court. Johnson Kuhn spoke with a family member still living with the impact of that night.
18-year-old Kavik Skonberg is charged with 3 counts of first-degree assault and 2 counts of third-degree assault for his alleged role in the 2024 Kodiak bonfire explosion. The blast hurt a number of teens. 5 were medevaced to Anchorage with moderate injuries. No photos of Skonberg have been made available through police records. The explosion happened in November 2024 when troopers say a 55-gallon fuel drum was thrown into a fire at a beach party. One of the teens injured, Kavik Wolf, recently died in a Memorial Day car crash. In addition to Kavik Wolf, other teens injured in the explosion included Alexia Coben, Mia Camacho, Cassandra Canaveral, and Brian Arndt. Kavik Wolf's sister, Eva, says the case still divides the community of Kodiak to this day.
It's 50-50 because there are still families that are, want to push him aside and, throw away the key.
Eva says some of her own family are among those still hoping for some degree of justice.
He was kind of given a bit more freedom than my grandparents would have liked since he was able to go commercial fishing with an ankle monitor on. They weren't fans of that.
But she says before her brother died, the 2 Kaviks had found their time to bury the past and become friends once again.
There was no animosity. Kavik, had his own conversation and forgave him.
Wolf says she rushed back to Kodiak after getting the call about her brother's death. She ran into Skonberg's mom at the airport, who she says also learned the news in that moment.
She just grabbed me and I just sobbed in her arms for about 5 minutes, and she sat next to me on the flight back to Kodiak while I cried. And for that moment alone that I had with her, everything else is kind of set aside.
She says while the incident is still fresh on the community's mind, there are those, in her view, that have found ways of making their peace with what happened.
Everybody deserves a second chance, and I think that that's what this town is realizing.
And as the case proceeds, Eva says whether it was an accident or intentional, forgiveness, in her eyes, is the best path forward. Johnson Kuhn, Alaska's news source.
We reached out to the families of everyone who was injured. We didn't hear back before deadline. We're still working to confirm what came out of Tuesday's hearing, and we'll update the story as we learn more. Still ahead today on the Morning Edition, it's not very often you get to volunteer to repaint downtown in the city you live in and have a hand in bringing a part of it to life to live on for years to come. We'll show you how Fairbanks is getting a little beauty in a makeover.
And temperatures over the next couple of days will continue to warm across the state as we make a run back into the 70s. I'll have more on that thunderstorm potential. The first at sunrise, 424 in Anchorage, 516 in Bethel. The full forecast is next.
Welcome back in on this Wednesday morning, Aaron. We started off this June on a warmer note, but now we're starting to cool down a little bit.
Well, the good news is, even though we are seeing some cooler weather, we will warm by week's end. So we've got a little bit of both conditions for people who like the warmer conditions like we saw last week, and then the somewhat cooler weather that we're dealing with this week. We've seen about a 20-degree temperature change across South Central since the start of the month, when we started out with the temperature around 59 degrees. And then within just 3 days, those temperatures warmed at nearly 20 degrees as we topped out at 77, which is the warmest we've been in a few years. Now, as far as those temperatures this morning, we are waking up, still holding on to some cool spots, as well as some localized areas of frost potential as you head through western parts of the interior. 30 in Kotzebue, as well as out towards Utqiagvik and Dead Horse. Kotzebue actually saw a record, a brand new record yesterday when it came to wind chill readings. As those wind chill readings for Kotzebue dropped down, I believe it was right around 13 degrees. So that was a brand new record for Kotzebue this late in the season for that summertime. Now, as far as what we're dealing with this morning across the state, not much going on. Plenty of areas holding on to some sunshine. We are seeing some localized showery activity across parts of South Central, as well as through parts of the eastern interior. But for most of the state, we're going to continue to remain on the dry side. These warm conditions we're going to see here over the next couple of days will steadily build back in across South Central. We'll see our warmest weather from Thursday on through Saturday across a good portion of the state, even out towards southeast. you can see a return to that ridge, which is going to lead to some warmer conditions for you as well. So we're kind of on this roller coaster ride. Temperatures were turning back near 70 by week's end, and then we cool back down into the mid 60s as we head through the first part of next week, and then we're back in the 70s by the end of next week. So we're kind of on this roller coaster ride when it comes to those temperatures, but thankfully it's nothing significant. Those who like that warm weather will see that, and then those who tend to appreciate more of those temperatures in the 60s, that's in the forecast as well. Now, we will be watching some thunderstorm development later today through central parts of the Kenai, over the Chugach Range, and into parts of the Matsu Valley, as well as into the Copper River Basin. These thunderstorms will be very isolated in nature, but for locations that do see it, you'll see a bit more cloud coverage than surrounding areas. Most locations will see mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies, but with the nature of those thunderstorms, we could see some areas holding on to cloudier conditions. And that will continue into your Thursday with additional chances for seeing some thunderstorm development, all thanks to our daytime heating. And then as we close out this week, you can see those sunshine continuing for many areas of South Central. So get outdoors, soak up that warmth that we are going to see. Now, temperatures today still managing to warm into the mid to upper 60s. We could see a few 70-degree readings across South Central, but I think most locations will stay in the mid to upper 60s. And then through the night, those temperatures do drop back down into the upper 40s and lower 50s. Beautiful, though, across the state for many areas. We are still warming out west, although it is still cool. 45 in Nome, 39 in Utqiagvik, 43 degrees in Dead Horse. And you can see that trend as we warm through the week's end. We do kind of cool off next week with temperatures expected to return back down into the mid 60s. So, Kristen, again, a bit for everyone when it comes to those temperatures in the 70s. Those who like the warmth and appreciate it, get outside and enjoy it. Next week, we do see those temperatures back in the mid 60s.
All right, thanks, Aaron. Downtown Fairbanks got a makeover over the weekend. Alex Bengal was there as artists got to work near Golden Heart Plaza for 2 separate painting events.
With the summer season in full swing, volunteers from across the community came together to beautify the heart of downtown Fairbanks. Between 40 and 60 people were there to paint diamond designs on the sidewalks, guiding visitors to the city's starter block, where newly painted chalets will house small businesses during the summer.
Our hope is to actually continue some of this along 2nd Avenue in front of businesses so that it creates this kind of walking, core area in our downtown here.
Snacks and supplies provided by the organizers, bringing people together with a mission.
I feel like the paint is very secondary to just having people come back downtown and just spend time here and meet their neighbors. And, there's this more ephemeral, kind of less tangible aspect of sitting beside someone you've never met before and chatting with them as you paint a patch of sidewalk.
Another 9 people came out to paint storm drains along 1st and 2nd Avenue, part of the annual Storm Drain Art Contest to raise awareness about keeping stormwater clean.
Everything that goes into the storm drains directly into the Chena River, so we want to make sure that only clean things and non-toxics go in, because we have Chinook salmon for one thing. Lots of fish and animals, of course, use the river, and people as well.
Taking advantage of a sunny day to meet new people and leave an artistic mark on the city center. Alex Bengal, Alaska's news source.
Artists, doodlers, and future Rondi legends, you have a little more time. Next year's Collector's Pin Contest deadline is extended to June 15th. Headquarters is closed for repairs, so you're asked to email or mail your original design. The winner gets $200, their image on Rondi merch, and 2 weeks of Rondi fame. Thanks for listening to our podcast. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcasts from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting. Available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.